Well, look what time it is now. I don't even have a watch on, but it's Sam Roberts now, and I just got out of One Battle After Another, the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie, and we've got to talk about it. I want to do it without any plot spoilers, maybe slight like thematic spoilers. So if you want to go into the movie knowing absolutely nothing, which really I had done very little research about this movie going in, and it worked out gangbusters for me, then I don't know, wait until you see the movie before you watch this. But it's the new PTA, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tiana Taylor, Benicio del Toro, Tony Goldwyn, who I don't think is getting enough credit for this movie, and Sean Penn, who as much credit as he is getting, as much credit as he no doubt will get, deserves even more, are starring in this movie that kind of like, I mean, it's in scope at times, in certain scenes, a war movie, but really, like every Paul Thomas Anderson movie always has been, it's a movie about people. It's a human being movie. And I've been a Paul Thomas Anderson fan forever. I mean, I've been I think everybody became a Paul Thomas Anderson fan when Boogie Nights came out. If you meet somebody that says they don't like Boogie Nights, there's no reason to trust them on anything. I mean, opinion on film, opinion on food, opinion on human beings, nothing. Magnolia is literally one of, if not my favorite movie of all time. Punch Drunk Love, absolutely incredible. There Will Be Blood, I watch at least twice a year and get new things from it every single time. And I think after There Will Be Blood, Paul Thomas Anderson started, I don't want to say experimenting more with movies, but almost experimenting even more than he was already doing with narrative structure. Like, I think in Punch Drunk Love, there was experimentation with, like, the idea of what a rom-com is. I think in Magnolia, it was, you know, really, like, all these characters kind of coexisting, and can we keep this going until that thread comes together at the very, very end? But I think, like, after There Will Be Blood, when we get movies like The Master, The Phantom Thread, Inherent Vice, those movies become more just almost character studies, especially The Master, where it doesn't really fit the Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. There's no specific drawing story to it as much as it is just the story of these characters in this specific portion of their life. I think you could say the same thing for Licorice Pizza. I really like Licorice Pizza, but I think it was it was a coming of age movie for sure. But it really was just the story of what happened to those characters. Almost like Paul Thomas Anderson comes up with these characters and just falls in love with them enough to say, hey, let's watch what they do and make it look gorgeous on film for about 2.5 hours. And so that's why for me, like, I love all those earlier films. I think The Master's really good. Inherent Vice didn't do it for me. Phantom Thread, I don't know. Licorice Pizza, I liked, but it wasn't that sort of, oh my God, I have found a favorite filmmaker again. Like, this is somebody who inspires me to work on my stuff just because he's so good at his stuff. And that feeling came back for me in One Battle After Another. Now, it's not really a story that you would instantly go, yeah, that feels like a PTA story. But it is just a beautifully designed story that you're not fully sure of exactly what the story is, to me anyway, until the very end. You know, it starts following this group of revolutionaries that are freeing immigrants and bombing buildings, this sort of hyper extreme left-wing group, but it doesn't feel heavily political. Yes, you have the people that are on the government side as the villains, that's Sean Penn and his group, and yes, the revolutionaries are the protagonists here, but really what you're looking at is Tiana Taylor as this incredibly strong, fierce, powerful leader, and Leonardo DiCaprio, who his character, even though he's a guy who makes bombs, is far more relatable, far more human, and far more like that side of us that goes like, what if we somehow found a very magnetic person and got looped into this revolution that was way over our heads? And that's where it goes outside completely of politics, and it becomes just a story of human beings You know, as you move into really the body of what the film is, and you start to meet the other characters like Benicio del Toro and them, you realize that while yes, especially that huge meaty act two of the movie is this massive kind of immigration bust that becomes a protest and a city upheaval and fire and bombs and bullets and people and a government that is flexing far too much of its power, authoritarian even. You realize that the motives deep down, the motives of all these characters involved are completely personal throughout the movie. They're reminding the revolutionaries that this isn't about being selfish, but they're really, when you really boil it down, everybody in this movie is acting in a way of self-interest. Leonardo DiCaprio is like, yeah, he believes in the revolution. He believes everything that he's saying, but he's acting for his family. And Sean Penn, he may or may not, probably doesn't really believe in the politics behind what he's doing, but he's so conditioned into doing that and wants to be accepted and grow in that field so much, which is something that we've all been a victim of for one thing or another, that he is completely, taking liberties and doing things that he knows, I think, if you really boiled it down, he knows these are wrong. But his goal, his mission, what he wants to do is more important than all of it. And even Benicio del Toro, who's like, becomes allies at one point with Leonardo DiCaprio's character. He's infatuated with everything that's going on. It really is. And it's not even a negative thing when I say selfish. When you look at these characters acting selfishly, it's not. It's not like they're putting themselves over a cause. But what you realize is, for most people and for the people in this movie, even when they're fighting for a cause, it's rooted in a sense of self and what your own personal battle is, not the overarching battle, but what the personal battle is and how that shows itself. And that's why I didn't feel like it was taking a political side. I felt like it was taking this side of anybody who lets these huge political causes become their identity is still acting from a place of self-interest in a positive or negative way. The writing is hilarious. Like, there are some scenes where you're laughing out loud that you should not be laughing out loud in, but that's, again, a Paul Thomas Anderson staple. You have all this stuff, like the real stresses that a mother postpartum feels. These relatable things that a lot of women can go like, yeah, I felt that way too, except it's through the lens of a revolutionary. Dealing with customer service that we all have to deal with, except it's through the lens of a political revolutionary, is so kind of outside of the box funny to me that the more I think about it, the more I enjoy it. Of course, as a wrestling fan, the fact that there was a kid running around with an Eddie Guerrero t-shirt on, and Benicio del Toro called him Latino Heat, I watched that scene over and over and over again. And man, Sean Penn's strut, the walk, the way that Sean Penn figured out how his character would strut. I mean, it's such a as soon as you see it, you can identify exactly what it is. You know why he's doing it. You know the type of person that does it, except you and I would never have thought to do that. It just all clicks in so well, and it rides that line, right? Any more heavy-handed, and it would almost be a parody. But the way he plays it is so, like, interesting, but also psychotic. Hilarious, but also dangerous. And I think that that's kind of the last type of people that you ever want to meet. The people that are so hilariously ingrained to what they're doing that they're actual psychopaths. These are probably the most dangerous people. You had your action scenes. So, like, at one point in the beginning of the movie, it's like we're really watching a love story. And the first act plays out the way a lot of love story movies play out. And then in the second act of the movie, you're watching this, like, shoot 'em up, kind of large scale war but escape movie. And you go, okay, this is what we're watching. And then at the very end, and to me, like I'm sitting there like, if this movie is a 5-star movie, what brings it from 4.5 to 5 is that last scene. Because I felt like in the very last scene of the movie, you go, oh, this whole movie was just a coming of age story. Like the way the movie ends and the interactions that the two characters at the very end have, you realize that that's what this has been about the whole time. It's just been a coming of age tale wrapped up in civil war and political revolution. You could see it, and the beauty of that is, as absurd as so much of what happens is, you could see it all happening. I mean, it couldn't be more perfect timing for this movie to come out right now. You know, even the visuals when they're going up and down the hills in the desert. Of course, like a lot of this takes place in like the deserty hills, and the same way like Paul Thomas Anderson uses water in The Master, and the same way that you know that 70s aesthetic is used in Boogie Nights, and that sort of very like played down, almost blue. Everything is used in Punch Drunk Love, where it's all used. It's almost like a painting, almost. He brings so much out of those hills. Even there's like a car chase scene where they're going up and down a hilly road, and the camera angle is almost from the lower end of the car, so you're just seeing the hills on this road almost wave up and down like water. It is really, really something to behold. I think that this is going to, I really hope that this movie gets enough buzz that it gets people turning up to movie theaters that haven't been to movie theaters in a while, because this is absolutely an event movie to me. It's a big event movie. It's a relatable movie. It's a movie that I could, that you could bring I wouldn't bring my kids to it because my oldest is 8. But if my kid was like, 14, 15, I'll bet that I could bring my kid, myself, and my parents. And we'd all enjoy it, and we'd all get different things out of it, but ultimately all just kind of, and in a weird way, it's so nuts. After all the blood and the fire and the heavy politics, it's like some of the most divisive on paper, some of the most divisive content that you could have, and still I left with this kind of warm feeling. And it's almost this feeling of like no matter how crazy the world gets and how nuts everything around us is, ultimately the human relationships that we have always had, that we will continue to have, that's what keeps all of our feet on the ground. That's what keeps us all in this one spot. So for me, I mean, I absolutely loved it. Definitely my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson film since There Will Be Blood. I don't know where I'm going to rank it just yet, but I mean to see directors like this, right? Like coming out of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a couple years ago and realizing that, oh my God, 9 movies in, I might have seen one of my favorite Quentin Tarantino movies ever. And for Paul Thomas Anderson, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is his 10th movie, including Hard 8, and 10 movies in. And this is why that Tarantino movie, Tarantino rule about 10 film, I don't know what he's talking about. Keep going after 10 if you're still good. But like his 10th movie in, and we're right back. It's been, 15 years since I said that just hit the upper tier Paul Thomas Anderson movies. I mean, I on any given day between Boogie Nights, Magnolia, and There Will Be Blood, I'm juggling as to which one is the best, but I think you'd have to give me a couple weeks, but One Battle After Another will probably end up in that conversation. I think that it's definitely, and how about those Christmas adventurers, huh? Oh, the Christmas adventurers. And you could, again, all of it it's done in a way where, and you see, once you see the movie, you know what I'm talking about with these Christmas adventurers, but you go, yeah, I could believe that is happening. All of it, this revolutionary stuff, all of it. Yeah, I could believe that is happening. So, in terms, I think that it'll be big come award season. I think the movie will be up there. I think the directing will be up there. In terms of will it win, I don't know yet. We still got a bunch of good movies that are coming out that I want to see. I think Smashing Machine is out next week. I think I'll bet Tiana Taylor gets a supporting actress nomination. I don't know if she'll win. I can't imagine Sean Penn does not win an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Sean Penn's portrayal in this movie is just like, one of my favorite things he's ever done. And Leonardo DiCaprio is fantastic. He's perfect. He's perfect. The idea that you could have this guy who, in the eyes of some, is literally a revolutionary hero, and in reality is just this relatable, bumbling oaf, like most of us are. He was perfect in it. I'm sure he's going to get nominated. I don't know if he'll win, but for me, I definitely see Sean Penn being successful come award season. So look, let me know what you think. Leave it in the comments. Hit like, subscribe to the channel, do the whole thing. But yeah, get out there, get your friends to go out there, get your family to go out there, see this movie, have a good time. It's a real resurgence of Paul Thomas Anderson. I couldn't be happier about it.